My name is Laura. I am 42 years old. I live in a small town called Maple Creek. It's a nice place. Trees line the streets. Houses have small gardens. Children play in the park. My life is quiet now. Maybe too quiet. I have two children, Emily and Tom. They are almost grown up. Emily is 19. Tom is 17. I have a husband, David. We have been married for 23 years. That sounds like a long time. And it is. Sometimes I sit by the window. I look at the garden. David planted those roses many years ago. They are beautiful, red and pink. But sometimes, when I look at them, my heart feels heavy. I ask myself a question I don't like to ask. Was marrying David my biggest mistake? I wish I knew then what I know now. When I was young, I lived in a different town, a smaller town near the mountains. My family was simple. My father worked in a factory. My mother took care of the house. I had one older brother. Life was okay. It was predictable. Every day was almost the same. I went to school. I helped my mother. I read books. I dreamed of seeing the world. I wanted adventure. I wanted something different. I felt like a bird in a small cage. I wanted to fly away. Then, I met David. I was 18 years old. He came to our town for a summer job. He was from the city. He seemed so different. He was confident. He laughed easily. He talked about big places, exciting things. He had a car. He wore nice clothes. He looked at me like I was special. No one had ever looked at me that way before. He came into the small library where I worked, part-time after school. He asked for a book about mountains. I helped him find it. He smiled. His smile was warm. It made my heart beat fast. He asked my name. I told him, Laura. He said, "That's a beautiful name." I felt my face get hot. I was shy then. Very shy. He started coming to the library often. Sometimes he borrowed books. Sometimes he just came to talk to me. He told me stories about the city, about busy streets, tall buildings, concerts, restaurants. It sounded like another world, a world I wanted to see. He listened to my dreams too. I told him I wanted to study art. I loved to draw. I showed him my small drawings. He said they were wonderful. He said I was talented. He made me feel important. We started spending time together outside the library. He took me for drives in his car. We went to a small lake near the town. We sat by the water and talked for hours. He held my hand. It felt warm. It felt safe. He told me he loved me. He said he wanted to take me away from my small town. He said we could build a new life together. A better life. I fell in love with him. Deeply. He was my escape. He was my dream come true. I thought he was perfect. He promised me a future full of happiness and adventure. A life away from the quiet, predictable days I knew. After knowing him for only 3 months, he asked me to marry him. I was 19. So young. My mother was worried. She said, "Laura, you are very young. Do you really know him?" My father was quiet. He just looked sad. But I didn't listen. I was sure. David was my future. Love was enough. Adventure was waiting. So I said yes. We got married in a small church in my hometown. I wore a simple white dress my mother made. David looked handsome in his suit. He held my hand tightly. He whispered, "Forever, Laura." I believed him. I really did. I thought my life was just beginning. I thought it would be a beautiful story. We moved to Maple Creek soon after the wedding. It was bigger than my hometown, but still quiet. David started working at a bank. He worked long hours. I started making our small rented house feel like a home. I painted the walls. I bought curtains. I planted flowers in the small garden. In the beginning, it felt exciting. It was our life. Just us. David was kind in the beginning. He brought me flowers sometimes. He told me I looked pretty. We went out for dinner on weekends. We talked about having children. It felt like the dream I wanted. But slowly, things started to change. David became more focused on his job. He talked about promotions, about making more money. He seemed stressed often. He came home later and later. Sometimes he was tired and quiet. He didn't ask about my day as much. He stopped noticing the small things, like a new drawing I made or a new recipe I tried. I started to feel a little lonely. Even when he was home, he seemed far away. His mind was always on work. I told myself it was normal. Marriage needs work. Life is not always exciting. I tried to be understanding. I supported him. I kept the house nice. I waited for him every evening. Then Emily was born, our first child. Holding her in my arms was the happiest moment of my life. She was so small, so perfect. I loved being her mother. David was happy too. He held Emily carefully. He smiled. But his work didn't slow down. He said, "I need to work harder now, for our family." My life changed completely. I stayed home with Emily. My days were filled with feeding, changing diapers, singing lullabies. I loved my daughter, but I missed adult conversation. I missed having time for myself. My dream of studying art felt very far away now. I didn't have time to draw anymore. 2 years later, Tom was born. Another beautiful baby. A sweet little boy. Now I had 2 children under 3. Life became even busier. Sleepless. Nights. Endless chores. Cooking, cleaning, caring for the children. David helped sometimes on weekends, but mostly I did everything myself. He was the provider. I was the caregiver. That was our roles. I started to feel tired. Not just physically tired. Tired in my heart. I loved my children more than anything, but I felt like I was losing myself. Who was Laura? I was a wife. I was a mother. But where was the girl who dreamed of adventure? Where was the artist? She seemed to disappear little by little each day. One evening, I found an old brochure for an art class at the community center. My heart felt a small jump. Maybe I could go? Just one evening a week? When David came home, I showed it to him. I said, "David, I was thinking, maybe I could take this art class? It's just nearby." He looked at the brochure, then at me. He frowned. "An art class? Laura, where would you find the time? The children are so young, and we need to save money, not spend it on hobbies." His words felt sharp. He didn't ask if it was important to me. He just said no. Not directly, but his tone made it clear. I felt a sting in my eyes. I didn't say anything more. I just put the brochure away. That night, I felt a deep sadness. It wasn't just about the art class. It was about feeling unseen. My dreams didn't seem to matter. Only his work, our children, the house. My world felt small again, smaller than my old hometown. David continued to climb in his job. We bought a bigger house, the one we live in now. We had more money. We had nice things. But we didn't seem closer. We talked mostly about the children, the bills, the house repairs. We didn't talk about dreams anymore. We didn't laugh together like we used to. The adventure he promised felt like a forgotten story. Sometimes I felt so alone. Especially at night. David often fell asleep quickly, tired from work, or he stayed up late working on his computer. I would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking, remembering the girl I was, remembering the promises. Was this the life I wanted? Was this the man I fell in love with? He seemed so different now. Or maybe I was the one who was different. I remember one winter, I got very sick. I had the flu, high fever, body aches. I could barely get out of bed. The children were small, maybe 4 and 2. They needed me. David had an important meeting at work that week. He said he couldn't take time off. He called a neighbor to check on me once a day. He came home late, asked if I took medicine, and then went to his study to work more. I felt so weak, so helpless, and so alone. I needed him. I needed his care, his comfort. But he wasn't really there. His work came first. I managed somehow. Mothers always do. But something inside me broke a little that week. The feeling of being a team, of facing life together, felt weaker. Years passed. The children grew older. They started school. They had friends. They had activities. Life was busy in a different way. I drove them to school, to soccer practice, to piano lessons. I helped with homework. I attended school meetings. David was proud of the children. He came to their school plays and soccer games when he could. He provided for them. He was a good father in many ways. He gave them stability. He gave them a comfortable life. But for me, our connection felt thin. We lived in the same house, but sometimes we felt like strangers. Polite strangers sharing a life. We didn't argue much, but we didn't connect deeply, either. The silence between us grew longer. Sometimes I met old friends from my hometown, or I saw women I knew from Maple Creek. Some were single, traveling, building careers. Some were married too, but their lives seemed different. They talked about partnership with their husbands, shared dreams, trips they took together. I listened. I smiled, but inside I felt a pang of envy, a feeling of, what if? What if I hadn't married so young? What if I had waited? What if I had followed my own dreams first? This question started circling in my mind more often. Was marrying David my biggest mistake? It felt like a terrible thing to think. He was a good man in many ways. He didn't drink. He didn't shout. He provided for us. Our children loved him. We had built a life together, a stable life. Many women would want this life. But my heart felt quiet, not unhappy all the time, but not truly happy either. Just quiet, numb sometimes, like the colors in my life had faded a little. The adventure I dreamed of? It was paying bills, managing schedules, keeping the house clean. The love I dreamed of? It was comfortable, silence, routine, shared responsibilities. Was this enough? I started spending more time alone, reading books again, walking in the park. Sometimes I would take out my old drawing pencils. I wasn't very good anymore. My hands felt stiff, but it felt good to hold them, to make marks on paper. It felt like finding a small piece of the old Laura. Emily is applying to colleges now. She wants to study photography. She talks about traveling, seeing the world. She reminds me so much of myself at her age, full of dreams, full of hope. I encourage her. I tell her, follow your heart, be brave, know yourself before you make big choices. I say these words to her, but they echo in my own mind. Did I know myself when I married David? No, I didn't. I was just a girl wanting to escape, wanting to be loved. Tom is quiet like his father sometimes, but he has a kind heart. He loves music. He plays the guitar. Sometimes when he plays, the house feels warmer. Music fills the silence. I watch him and I feel proud. They are good kids. David and I did that together. That is not a mistake. Our children are not a mistake. They are the best part of my life. But the question remains about David, about the path I chose 23 years ago. We sit at the dinner table now. Emily talks about college applications. Tom talks about his band. David asks about their day. I listen. I smile. I pass the food. We look like a normal family, a happy family. But inside, I still feel the quiet weight. Maybe the mistake wasn't marrying David. Maybe the mistake was marrying so young, before I knew who I was or what I truly wanted from life, besides escape. Maybe the mistake was losing myself along the way, letting my own dreams fade into the background, giving up pieces of myself for the sake of peace, for the sake of the family, for the sake of the life we built. David is getting older too. He works a little less now. Sometimes he tries to talk to me more. He asks about my day. He suggests we go for a walk. Sometimes we do. We walk around the neighborhood. We talk about the children, about retirement plans. It's calm. It's peaceful. But the spark? The connection I felt when we were young? It's not there. Not for me, anyway. Maybe it is for him. I don't know. We don't talk about those things. A few weeks ago, I found my old sketchbook. The one from before I met David. It was hidden in a box in the attic. I sat there on the dusty floor and looked through the pages. Drawings of mountains, birds, imaginary places, dreams of a young girl. Tears came to my eyes. Not sad tears exactly, just tears. For the girl I was, for the dreams I had. I brought the sketchbook downstairs. I put it on my bedside table. I haven't drawn anything new yet, but it's there, a reminder. Maybe it's not too late. Maybe I can find some of those colors again. Maybe I can bring some adventure into my quiet life. Not by leaving, but by changing things from the inside. By finding Laura again. So, was marrying David my biggest mistake? I still don't have a clear answer. Yes, I lost some dreams. I lost parts of myself. Life didn't turn out like the adventure I imagined, but I also gained things. My children, a stable home, years of shared history. There was love too in its own quiet way. Maybe not the passionate love of stories, but a love of habit, of comfort, of family. Maybe life isn't about finding the one perfect path. Maybe it's about learning to live with the path you chose. Finding beauty in the small things. Finding strength in the quiet moments. Maybe the mistake is not the choice itself, but forgetting to keep growing. Forgetting to keep dreaming. Even when life becomes routine. I wish I knew then that marriage doesn't magically make you happy. That adventure isn't just about traveling to far places. It's also about the journey inside yourself. I wish I knew that I needed to hold on to my own dreams, even while building a life with someone else. Now, I look at those roses in the garden. They still bloom every year. David still takes care of them. Our life is quiet, predictable, but maybe that's okay. Maybe now, it's time for me to find my own colors again. To start drawing. To take that art class. To find adventure in small ways. It's not about regretting the past anymore. It's about building a future where Laura, the mother, the wife, and the dreamer can all live together. If you are young, listening to my story, please remember this. Know yourself first. Follow your dreams. Love is important, yes. But don't lose yourself in love. Hold on to who you are. Your voice matters. Your dreams matter. Life is long. Make choices that let you grow, not just choices that help you escape. Thank you for listening to my story. It feels good to share it. Maybe you have questions in your own heart too. It's okay. We are all just trying to find our way. Be kind to yourself. Keep learning. Keep growing. That's what I'm trying to do now. One quiet day at a time.